in here. Excuse me, folks. Ah, oops. Now this oh, what the heck's going on here?
If your hand is not shaking, you're not too bad of an addict.
If what?
If your hand is not shaking, you're not too bad of an addict.
All right. Oh. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, shehakol niyeh b'dvarei. Chaim l'chaim v'bracha. Good yontiv, everybody. Good yontiv. Today is a holiday. It is called Chag HaChagim, the holiday of all holidays. Jewish people have many holidays that were given to us biblically by God Almighty. And you would think that those would be the most important. And on one level, they are. Because if God gives you the holiday of Passover, because you were liberated from Egypt, oh, it's very important. If God gives you holiday of Sukkot, because you were traveling through the desert and you want to remember how God protected and took care of the Jewish people in the formation of the nation before entering the land of Israel. Oh, okay, God says celebrate, we celebrate. Shavuos, we celebrate. God gives us the 5 books of Moses. Amazing, we celebrate. Yet we call this holiday the holiday of all holidays. It's not even a rabbinic law, let alone biblical law, right? It's a custom. And some people don't even have the custom. We don't say Tachanun today. We don't say supplications today. Other people do. They don't celebrate this day. Comes a biblical holiday, no one says supplications. No one says Tachanun. But here, so how is that possible? As a matter of fact, there's once a Jew who wasn't a Chabad chassid came to a great rabbi, the Brisker Rav. And he says, what is it with these chassidim? They add holidays, you know? They add holidays. They have this new holiday, the 19th day of Kislev, commemorating the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad rabbi who was released from prison. And they make a whole big party out of it, and they celebrate it. And, what is it about adding holidays? So he was a very wise, and he was connected with Chabad, not himself a Chabadnik, but he said, by us, our holidays are becoming less and less. By them, at least they're adding. That's good. What are we adding? We're adding more holiness. We're adding more connection to God Almighty. And this is what the day is all about. The Alter Rebbe was in prison, false charges against him, all right, by informers who didn't like the fact that his teachings were now being disseminated, and people were starting to follow this new way, a new wave, and people were concerned of what that's going to produce in the Jewish people, because we're very conservative. We're very, following the teachings of the past. And now what? There's something new? Judaism is, something carved in stone. So 10 commandments are carved in stone. And all of a sudden there's something new? People couldn't wrap their minds around it. Of course they couldn't, because they never learned it. Right? And but this decree was really starting a decree in heaven. As everything devolves from the spiritual to the physical, so likewise here. It was a spiritual decree. And as he was sitting in prison for 53 days, his teachers came to him, the Baal Shem Tov, the Mesicher Magid from the other world. They came to him. And he asked, what am I doing here? Why am I here? He says, this is a decree for your teachings. Your teachings are very powerful. And it's a question in heaven, is the world ready for them? So he said, maybe I should stop then. He says, no, on the contrary, they told him, when he will be released, became aware then he's going to be released from here, you need to disseminate the teachings in a greater way than ever before. That's what's called noch pet Petersburg, after Petersburg. Petersburg was where he was imprisoned. Peter Paul Fortress, ominous place. And he was released from there. As a result, the teachings now became so proliferated throughout the world. But you know what? Now, more than ever before, starting today, there are more people starting today to learn Tanya, as today is celebrating the release of the Alter Rebbe celebrates the beginning of the new cycle of Tanya. There are more people learning Tanya today than ever in history. Not certain you could say that about too many books or any books that way, right? No. Is Sigmund Freud's books are being learned more today? Is Napoleon's tactical war teachings learned by
He never won.
or philosophy, right?
Kin to philosophy.
Right? Yeah. Is that learned more today than ever before? Right? Exactly.
And they came from the same epoch.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's famous.
And everybody knows him.
He's
Who's following his way? Who dresses like him? Who thinks like him?
those that they learn to be able to think like him.
Exactly. So that's amazing. So welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We begin now a new cycle. All beginnings are wonderful because they're new excitement. Start something new. This will be our 20th cycle of teaching Tanya on a daily or almost daily basis. And guess what? It's more exciting now than ever before. How could that be? How could it be more exciting now than it was when you first did something in life? It's more exciting the first time. Second time, been there, done that. That's the amazing thing of Tanya. That's the amazing thing of the teachings of Torah in general, but specifically in the Tanya, how fresh they are, how new they are, and the depths that we go into it to become a part of us. I think maybe it really goes down to the core of why are we learning? Ultimately, we should be learning to connect to God. We're not learning because it's a philosophy. We're not learning because it's psychology. We're not learning because it's self-help, although it is philosophy, it is psychology and self-help. We're learning it to be more connected to God Almighty, to be better people, better Jews, better human beings that are aligned with the divine purpose that you were created for. So this is the tool. Tanya is going to be that tool that will give us the capability to be more aligned with the divine, with God, with your divine purpose. So that's what makes it very different. So when you learn an idea, okay, you got the idea, but this is not about learning an idea. This is about living it. Living an idea? Oh, that's very different. So think about it, folks. Many of you have been learning together with me for, actually, some of you for several years. And why do you come back? Is because every year you see that you're more aligned with the teachings. It's more a part of you. It's more authentically you this past year than it was the previous year. Because guess what? It's going to be even more so this year. Right? And therefore, that makes it fresh. That makes it new. And that makes it exciting thing to be a part of. So welcome to it. And let's make it happen. So we begin today with the title page, 19th of Kislev, Sefer Likutei Amarim. It's a book called, and in his humility, the Alter Rebbe only calls it a compilation of teachings. Like, all I did was take it from, compile from others. That's what I did, right? And in a certain sense, there's a truth to it, because everything in Jewish teachings is based on previous teachings. We're not making up anything. Taking something that's there and looking more deeply at it and giving a new dimension, but it's a new dimension of what's already there. It's a famous story with the previous Rebbe. He was in Vienna in a hotel lobby, and non-Chabad religious Jews came to him and they asked him, "What is this about the Tanya? What is this about mystical Chabad teachings? It's not part of our Messiah. It's not part of our tradition. Our tradition. It's the Talmud. 1,500 years it's been around plus. And what is this? These new teachings." So you're in a hotel lobby that had a very high ceiling. So you ask them, "Do you see the beautiful artwork on the ceiling?" And they said, "Yeah." A little confused why you're asking such a question. And then he took a lamp and he put the lamp to it and he says, "Do you see it more clearly? The beauty of it now?" Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what Hasidus is. That's exactly what Tanya is. It's teachings that are there, whether in Maimonides, or we'll see from the Maharal from Prague, or whether it's from the Talmud, the sages, from the Zohar, wherever it's from. Guess what? It wasn't so clear, it wasn't so elucidated, the depth of it, to see the beauty, the unity of it, the oneness of it, the light of Hasidus, of Tanya. Upon it, now you see things differently. You see the teachings differently, and you live life as a result differently. So, in that sense, it is a compilation of teachings, right? Chelek Rishon, the first part, Hanikra B'Shem, it's called, entitled, Sefer Shalbeinanim. We call it Tanya, but the first part is called actually Sefer Shalbeinanim, the book of the intermediate. Intermediate means in between. In between the righteous people, a righteous person who has no evil inclination because they have, through their divine service, have dealt with it, transform the negativity from within, that it doesn't affect them. We'll learn more about that in chapter 10. And then the other side of the coin, if you will, although there's three sides to this coin, is the wicked person, a rasha. A rasha doesn't mean a wicked person who's, Tiladahan. A evil person means that there's negativity. Negativity, whether in your willful thoughts, your words, and in your actions. And we'll learn more about that in chapter 11. But this is the book of the Beinani, which will be truly elaborated upon in chapter 12, the intermediate. Then he continues. This is compiled from sacred books from teachers of heavenly saintliness. That their souls are in Eden, meaning in the Garden of Eden, because they have passed away. Who are those saintly teachers? The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, and his successor, and his actually Rebbe and mentor, was the Mezritcher Magid Dov Ber of Mezerich. Right? That's who. The books refer to sacred books, to the Rambam, Maharal from Prague, and other holy books that were the basis of these teachings. Then he continues and he says in this title page, that is Miyusad al Pasuk, that this is based on one verse. Imagine 53 chapters we're going to learn now is based on just one verse in the Torah, right? I mean, we'll quote many other verses for other things, but the basic idea of what this is all about. Let's take this verse and what does it say? Ki korav elecha, hadavar moed befichol vavchal asay. Ki, for korav, it's close. Elecha, to you. Hadavar, this thing is close to you. This thing is close to you. Moed, very much so. Beficha, in your mouth, bilvavcha, in your heart, lasaysa, to do. Let's take this apart. So this is close to you. This thing is close to you. What's this thing? Meaning this Torah is close to you. This wisdom of God, this will of God. God is close to you. He's close to you. Not only is he close to you, ma'oid, he's very close. And we'll see the distinction that there's God being close to you and God be very close to you. Two different dimensions, as we will see. And where is he close? In what manner is he close? Does it mean like in physically he's close to you? He's, of course, that is true, right? Is he spiritually close to you? Is he emotionally close to you? What does it mean close and what? So the verse continues, Beficha, in your mouth, Bilvovcha, in your heart, Lasaisa, to do. So there's a nuance over here, as we will learn in great length later, but briefly, I'm just going to say now, this refers to three garments of self-expression. We have the soul, what the soul is. It's made up of 10 components, 3 intellectual, Chabad, 7 emotions, 10 parts of the soul. But then there is the expression of the soul, which we call it garments, and that's thought, speech, and action, right? In other words, we have the soul that has the emotion of love. But until you think love, speak love, or act love, you don't have an expression of love, even though you have love, right? So the garments of the soul, and this is the Beinoni, the intermediate person, who has mastery, it's the Beinoni, over thought, speech, and action. Bificha, speech. Bilvavcha, okay, here's a nuance over here. Bilvavcha means heart. So why doesn't it say thought? Lasoisa means to do, meaning action. So what we're left is thought, right? It says heart. Why does it say heart? Say thought, if that's what it means. We'll see, because it's a double nuance. There's a nuance here, a double meaning to it. So the first meaning is heart. Well, what do you think about? What do you think about? What's on your heart is what you think about. If you don't have if you have strong feelings in your heart about something, guess what? That's what you're thinking about, right? So it means heart in this instance means your thoughts. Okay, so then just say that, because it has another meaning too. It means heart. Heart means feelings. That's what heart means. But as we will learn in greater length, here it means heart, not feelings, but heart that brings you to do. That's why it says in your heart to do. It doesn't say you're in your heart and do. In your heart to do. In other words, your feelings should be sufficient to bring you to action to do for God, as opposed to having a full palpable, full-blown feelings in your heart. And it brings you to do. That's what the verse is saying, right? Got that? We'll learn more about that. That will be in chapter 17, actually 16 and 17. Chapter 18 to through 25 will teach us about the word mo'od, very close. Why is it very close, not just close? That would be chart, right? Then he sums up the title page, Levar Hativ, to explain well, Eichu Karav, how in fact it is Karav Moed, very much so, B'derech HaRuch K'tzara B'ezes Hashem Yisbarach, in a long and short way. Long or short? Which one? Both. There's a short, there's a long way, that will be chapters 9 through 17. And then there is a short way, and that will be chapters 18 through 25. What is it? What's a long way? The long way is using the mind to influence the heart. That's a long path. In other words, what we know should influence us, right? But think about it. We know a lot of things that are the right way to go in life, and that doesn't influence our heart that we feel that way, right? Because our heart is got layers of negativity on the outside, on the exterior of our heart. And to penetrate that exterior takes a lot of teachings, a lot of wisdom, a lot of pondering, meditation, and, to make it really a part of you. That's a long way. The short way is to find the truth that's already in you. You already got the truth in you. You already have the divine in you. You already have a piece of God in you, in your soul. That's a part of God. To find God that way, not through the mind, not through Chabad that influences the heart, but to find it because it is already a hidden love within you. That's the short way. So why not just take the short way? Why not? Why take only the long way? Or why not? Why even have a long way? Anybody? What makes us human is our minds, right? They can have dominion over the heart. You don't own something until it's yours. What makes something yours? When it's in your mind and your heart, when you get it, right? If it's just something that's given to you, then it's not really yours. It's been gifted to you. Not really yours. You got a gift, right? So someone is great at something. Is it really theirs? No. They were gifted, unless they work so hard over and above what their natural talent is, then it's theirs. So to have the natural talent towards God that's hidden in the soul, that's great. Fantastic. It's a short way. It's a hidden talent that you are just naturally, gave yourself over to it and you didn't really work hard for it. When you really work hard for something, right? And then you own it. It's yours. So, but the problem is, well, we'll see more about that when we come around.
So the short way almost gets you.
Right. So the Talmud, that brings down a story in the Talmud of, who was it? Who was that? Hold on. Forget a story of Atana that he was asked once how he got lost and he wanted to know how he can get to Jerusalem. So he told me he went the short way or the long way. So give me the short way. Okay, look, fine. So he gave him the short way. He gets there and he sees there's a fence. He can't get through. Became long. It was short, but became long. Come back to him. Why? He says, why'd you tell me that? Well, you asked for that. I gave you both options. You asked for the short, long way, so I gave you that. So they went the long way, right? But in the end, it's a short way because it gets you there. There's no fence. So that's the difference between going Chabad through the mind to the heart or going directly to the heart, right? The heart is short. In the end, it's long because you don't own it, right? More of that will come. So that is, in brief, the title page. Now we go into the approbations.
Does the author ever consider himself to be the author?
Yeah, I mean, he's the compiler. That's how he
Right.
considers
He's only an
himself.
editor. Like considers himself only to be like an editor.
Right.
Only
Yeah.
compiling things from others.
Right, exactly.
So very humility.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So the approbations he has from three people. The first one was Reb Zusha from Anipol, who was a contemporary, who was a student of the Mizitcher Maggid as he was, the famous Reb Zusha. And just briefly, he writes about these teachings, the godly teachings, and how wonderful that they are, showing God's people the holy way of following God. And he said that Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe did not want to print the Tanya. It was called initially kuntresim, pamphlets, because they were handwritten. We have this by holy people, that they don't write anything. The truth is the Rebbe wrote nothing. He spoke everything, and people wrote it and gave it into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe edited it. That's true. The Rebbe wrote nothing. Maybe it could be literally nothing. Yeah, right. Hayom is the only. But yeah, but that's only compiling. He didn't write it. He compiled it. Totally compile. That's totally compiling, right? I don't think he didn't add anything to it, right? It was a voice from the Rebbe Rashab from the Frierdiker, right? Wasn't his own. He never. Okay, he compiled it, but yeah, that's in any case.
He wrote it down. Plus all the other things, but he simply edited.
Yeah.
What others.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And by the way, that's before he was Rebbe.
He wrote it. He wrote it. He actually wrote it.
Right. The Oman, you could say, Anyway, yeah, that he actually wrote. So in any case, he says his intention was not to publish it. But what happened was, and why are we celebrating today, Yutes Kislev, is because there were people, faithful people who believed and were, observant Jews. But they couldn't wrap their minds on what is this new teachings, and they felt it was, against the ways of God, and therefore they informed against him, right? And what happened? Um, what did they do? They took copies and they copied it incorrectly in order that people should have an erroneous understanding of the teachings. And not only that, oh, look at this. Look what it says here. It would be, to inform upon him from that these teachings are, not appropriate teachings and so on. So therefore, the book had to be published by the printing press, not by hand copy, right? This we're talking about in 1797,
Against his
right?
will.
And against his will, he's doing it, right? So in the approbation, Reb Zusha is saying that for 5 years, no one is allowed to print the book except for the printers who invest a lot of money themselves to do this. And also that way, the copies will be proper copies, or printed copies of the book will be appropriate for 5 years, he says. And likewise, Rabbi Yehuda Leib Cohen says similar things, is the second approbation. And then finally, his sons also give an approbation to this, to the Tanya, and Chaim Avram, Dov Ber, and Chaim Avram, and Moshe, his 3 sons. There's more details in there. All of them mention about the 5 years that no one could print this without permission from the publishers. And whoever will listen will be blessed.
Didn't he send copies of the initial writing of Tanya to different people for their opinions or
Approbation. That's what we're doing the approbations now. Exactly.
the approbation?
I mean, yeah,
They wrote their approbation on
right. And the Alter Rebbe put it in here, right, of what they had to say.
They sent it to hidden Tzaddikim.
Yep, exactly. All right.
I read a story about one of them being in Germany as a custodian leader.
Right. Okay, any questions? I see some questions online. Do I have a son, Menachem Mendel Fine, studying in Toim Chitzimim? Yes, it's a grandson, actually, in New York, in Olei Torah. Yes. Jeffrey, how do you know him? Basi Legani, yeah, we'll be learning that soon. Okay. Chabad Tzrichen Gedoshim is in Montreal, Canada. I'm looking to see question. What's Yerida L'Torah Chaliyah means decline in order to arise to higher heights. Okay. What are the customs of this day is to make a fabringen, to increase in studying Hasidus, and in particular Tanya, and to disseminate. Folks, we are all part of the miracle. We're creating a miracle. Where does it ever happen that 200 plus years after someone was around physically, that their teachings are learned more today than ever before? It's true about Maimonides. His teachings are learned more than ever before. The Rebbe instituted the learning Rambam, which we're going to do now in a few moments. So it's learned more today than ever before, right? What else is learned more than ever? Chumash and Rashi also, right? From the previous Rebbe instituted. So when it comes to Torah, God's wisdom, there's more engagement today than ever before, but in particular Tanya. So today is our first day, the first day of an amazing journey for the year. Welcome aboard. Did the Alter Rebbe come into this world already knowing the whole Tanya? Maybe in his soul he knew it, but I don't think intellectually or in his mind he knew it until, it took the Alter Rebbe 20 years to write the Tanya. It's a small book, 20 years. In chapter 42, we'll get there. There's a word that has, he spent 6 weeks thinking if it should say and, or it shouldn't say and. Give me the second book of Tanya, if you don't mind, please. So he spent 6 weeks. What did he do? The second over there, the second book, second volume. Thank you. Number 2. Look for number 2. It's written number 2. Thank you. Without getting into the details, I just want to show you, that you should appreciate the depth and the profundity that the Alter Rebbe Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to keep everybody. But should be with should it say and? Like, or not? So going back and forth 6 weeks, it's to see how that phrase would fit in with the entire book. Now, it's not how it would just make sense there, but how does it make sense vis-a-vis the entire book? Just sit here. Yeah. Should he serve with entire heart and soul, or entire heart of soul? Anyways, we'll get there when we get to chapter 42. We got a lot to go. All right, folks. Beautiful, amazing. Why was it Vilna going against Hasidim? Because until you study Tanya, you don't know how it is so rich and it adds to Jewish teachings such an enormous depth and breadth. And since he didn't learn it, all he heard was hearsay from others about the Hasidim and about the teachings. When you only live by hearsay, right? And this is not to take anything away from the Vilna Gaon, who was against Alter Rebbe and his teachings. Not to take away from him, it was extremely learned and great man, but he was influenced by people around him who fed him non-truths. Non-truths. That's what happened.
Is there like one problem that the opponents of this rabbis that people were saying against him. Like one main lie or misunderstanding that people were saying, don't read this because
That's a good question. No, because it was really not about the book. It was more about, Jews are very traditional, and this was something new. So they were worried. You have to understand, right before that, you had just 100 years earlier, 1648, 49, you had the Chelmensky pogroms that killed tens, hundreds of thousands of Jews. That led to such a desperate time for the Jewish people, physically and spiritually. You had the Shabtai Tzvi movement, right? The Frankists, false messiahs, because people were looking for something to hold on to. They were devastated physically, spiritually, every aspect of life. Devastated. So now all of a sudden, there's a new thing on the market. Tanya. Well, maybe it's like the false messiahs, right? And the Chassidim acted different. You know what the Chassidim were called first? Chassidim means pious ones. You know what they were first called? Freiliche, joyous ones. Because they would just start dancing like that. They would start celebrating just like that. Where at the time, what was celebrated? What was celebrated by the Jewish people at that time? Scholarship. Scholarship, you don't get up and dance. Scholarship, you just sit and learn, right? And that's what was celebrated. And that's why simple Jews were not celebrated. Came to Baal Shem Tov and said, no, you're a simple Jew. You're to be celebrated. Celebrated. Came to the Alter Rebbe and showed how you can be celebrated. And what way you can serve God in a way that's celebrated. It changed everything, and people because but people on the side, another false messiah, perhaps. So because of that distrust for anything that that smelled different, new, right? It's suspicious. It's suspicious. That was what happened. That's what happened. So again, it's not being against them in any way. We're going to learn more about that. It's about appreciating what we have. Davida asked, why don't tzaddikim write down their teachings? That's a good question. If I was righteous, then I could answer you. So, because they are so not about themselves, right? Write down the teachings because it's for others. Good question. I don't have an answer. What would Moshe Rabbeinu say if he heard Chassidus? He would say like what he heard when he saw in the future that Rabbi Akiva was expounding things from the Torah that his Torah that he didn't understand. He was a little first downhearted, but then when Rabbi Akiva said, "Oh, this is as Moshe teaches," it's okay. It's from his teachings. They'd be very happy. Yeah. All right. Amazing, folks. Rambam coming up. Thank you. A new beginning. Stay strong throughout the year, learning together every day. This is going to be an amazing year together, sharing Tanya teachings together. But it's not enough that you're going to be here. Bring someone online, share it with another. Sharing is caring. Thank you.
Big adventure.
Yeah.